Good morning, it's Sue Jefferson here, the Children and Family Worker for the benefit of Long Buckby with Watford and West Haddam with Winwick. Here's my reflection for Sunday the 14th of June on Matthew 9:35 to 10 verse 10. The first thing that strikes me in this Gospel reading is in verse 36. As Jesus saw the crowds around him, his heart was filled with pity for them, because they were lost, like sheep without a shepherd. Other translations say he felt sorry for them, or that he was moved with a deep compassion for them. How often, I wonder, do we, when we're out and about, look around us and feel a real sense of compassion for others, not in the sense that we're better than them, but because they are lost if they don't know Jesus. As we're out and about shopping or walking or driving, we can pray for people as we see them and ask that God will work in their lives. Verses 37 and 38 refer to a harvest. Jesus said to his disciples, "The harvest is large, but there are few workers to gather it in. Pray to the owner of the harvest that he will send out workers to gather in the harvest." The harvest here seems to be referring to the huge number of people who don't know Jesus, and God is asking for people who are willing to gather them in. I've often heard this verse quoted in calls for missionary work overseas, but wherever we are, there are people around us who don't know Jesus. At the start of Matthew 10, Jesus calls his disciples together and gives them authority to heal sicknesses and drive out demons. We know that these apostles are ordinary people from a variety of backgrounds with different personalities and gifts, just like us. God calls us all to carry on his work. Some are more suited to helping out in certain situations. For example, if someone's house was on fire, would you want to get involved? What about if a church window was broken? Would you want to get involved in that? Or you saw somebody in the street crying? Or a colleague asked you why you went to church? Some of you will be filled with dread at some of those situations, and others of you would love to get involved. God has given us all different gifts, so we can all help in sharing the gospel and doing his work. Moving on now to verses 5 to 10. Jesus again gives his disciples instructions as they go out to share the good news. The first thing I notice is that as well as preaching that the kingdom of heaven was near, the disciples were asked to heal the sick, bring the dead back to life, and drive out demons. Do we think that these things should still be happening in the church today? That's a discussion for another day, but it is worth thinking about. The second question I have is, why was it important that they took no money or resources with them? Verses 9 to 10 says, "Do not carry any gold, silver or copper money in your pockets. Do not carry a beggar's bag for the journey, or an extra shirt or a stick." I think it's probably so that they would be totally reliant on God to provide for them. And also that in a culture where hospitality was so important, their situation of dependency would provide opportunities and provoke questions and responses from the people they met. To finish, what really strikes me in today's Gospel reading is the importance of telling and sharing the good news of Jesus. It was their whole life, not just an optional extra. So often I wake up and I think about the jobs I'm going to have to do that day, the people I'll be meeting, what I'll be buying from the shops, and a whole host of other things. I don't always jump out of bed thinking, I wonder how many people I'm going to share the gospel with today. But we can take the time at the start of each new day to ask God to give us opportunities to share his love with others and to be aware of the needs of others as we go about our daily lives. And finally, if you're somebody who likes something practical to take away with you, perhaps after the service you could write down a few words to describe one bit of good news that comes from knowing Jesus, and ask God for the opportunity this week to share that with somebody. Thank you.